Hello.
Hello, beautiful people.
Welcome to another episode of Human Design Conversations. And this week we are looking at Gate 11, line 4.
And we're going to jump right in and just see what we see.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I should introduce myself. My name's Lynda Gaiao. And my partner in crime
Where?
is Sian Wilson.
Hello.
And for us, this whole human design conversations and looking at the gates and the different transits is just really part of our own passion for deepening our own skills and understanding and awareness of human design and how our designs, knowing in depth our designs and the designs of people around us, really helps to move through life in a way more fun and exciting way.
Yeah. And in terms of human design types, I am a manifesting generator and Lynda is a projector. So it's a good fun combination to play with as we experiment and jump into living our design.
Absolutely.
And letting go of the not self.
Yay!
Yeah. Conditioning. Old patterns and things. Yes.
So in human design, you can get a chart for every day. It's called the Just Now chart, and that's essentially shows you which gates are activated on that particular day. And then if you overlay that up on top of your own chart, you may find that certain channels that are not normally activated will be activated because of the activations on the day. And we're going to be focusing purely on the sun gate today, which is gate 11, and it's in line 4.
Can you move the image slightly to the side, or our faces in there so you can see the top of the sun, or not really?
Like that?
Because at the moment I can just see our heads and not the numbers. The person.
How's that?
No, that's okay.
Because you can move it yourself. You should be able to move it yourself. Just drag the little pictures of your faces somewhere else.
I'm just thinking on the recording if people see it.
I can see it, so.
Oh, okay, you can see it.
And it's recording from my side, so it should be good.
Okay, excellent. Good.
So if we just, I'll just quickly show you that this is the place that we're looking at today. Gate 11, which is in the Ajna Center. And the gate points downwards towards the throat center.
So with everything in human design, everything is pointing towards the throat to be expressed.
Yes.
And in some cases, manifested as deeds, but a lot of the time it's an expression of who we are. Truly.
Yeah. So when we like zero into gate 11, it's called peace, the gate of ideas, a harmonic condition in the individual or society that permits assessment before renewed action.
So the two centers at the top of the head center, the triangle pointing up, and then the one we're focusing on today, the Ajna pointing down, have got two different functions. The head center is all about information. It's like the storage area, and then the Ajna that we're focusing on today, with the 11 points down, is like the processing unit, where beliefs and thoughts ideas become processed.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. And that's also heading towards the throat for expression.
And so the 11th gate, this gate is really all about ideas. It's about seeing and getting ideas. And just like any center, that can be manipulated because the ideas are just ideas for ideas' sake. It's about the journey and about the experience and about seeing the ideas and sharing the ideas, but it's not, they're not prescriptions for action. So just because you have an idea doesn't mean that it leads to you doing something about it. And what the not self does is it will go, okay, well, you've got this idea, therefore you need to do something with it. So let's go off and do something. And this can really create a lot of suffering in people's lives when they take these ideas and think that they need to do something with it.
Yeah. And I love where it says a harmonic condition in the individual society that permits assessment before renewed action. So there's kind of like a reflection element.
Yes.
And it's also it's part of the sensing circuit. So it's not logical and theoretical based. It's more abstract and feel, which is really, really the contrast within the actual human design, which is beautiful.
So essentially anything that's comes from the abstract circuitry is about sharing, and it's also about the past. So it's the sense of remembering what happened in the past, and then filtering that through your own lens, and then the ideas come out of that, and that's where this need to share these ideas come through. The only problem with anything to do about the past is that we very often are very selective about what we remember, and we often really only remember what we like. And because of that, we have these ideas and the remembering of the past, which we only like, and we just keep processing that over and over again, and that becomes our ideals, and then that moves into our beliefs, and then eventually that moves into our belief system. So it can create kind of a rigid structure if it follows that pattern. Whereas if you just leave it on the ideas level, for the sake of ideas and for the sake of filtering through past experiences to share, this is more in alignment with where this frequency of this gate needs to operate, as opposed to processing it upwards.
And I think this is quite a maybe challenging area, because with so much with human design, your external authority, so whether your strategy is to respond, is so important. Yet so a lot of the time we use the mind to turn ourselves inward. So we might be, in this case, thinking about something in the past, a story about the past we have about ourselves, and we turn it inwards towards ourselves. But really the purpose of the mind as an external authority, I think I just swapped internal and external around, is really the sharing of your own stories for the help of others,
yes.
not ever to turn it in within yourself. Yes. So I think it's a challenging gate, because it is about sharing your ideas and some of your stories from the past, but it's how it's being used. If it's helpful, and because it's a sharing channel, and because it's also what's the one where you have to be invited? The projected. Yes, so it's really important that the stories are really to help others, but still yours.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this is, I think every gate has got its
they all have their challenges, right?
Yeah.
So there's what you'll find with these people that have this 11th gate activated is there's a need for stimulation that leads to ideas. And when they don't have the 56 on the other side of it, they want to express these ideas, but they've got no way to really truly express them. They want to try and tell their stories, and they'll often just end up blurting it out when it's not invited and when it's not correct. And so generally when that happens, the ideas aren't received very well because it hasn't followed the correct path.
And I've got the perfect example of that with my middle daughter, because she's got it in her personality and design, the 11th gate. And as an aside, she also has a completely open throat center. So she feels, and that means there's no gates coming out of the square underneath. So she feels a need often to express herself. This is the configuration often of an actress or a performer, because they can take on lots of different types of expressing themselves because of that openness. Anyway, she's got that 11, and I know, and she's a projector. So I know when I ask her for her ideas, and it's correct for her to share them, her ideas like really change the way, and I ask her around ideas around the functioning of my family, they can really change the way our whole family dynamic moves. Yes. Really quickly. But if she's just walking around spouting ideas, which she doesn't tend to do so much anymore, they just fall to deaf hands, and it's really quite, and she gets quite she used to get a little bit like resentful that no one's sort of listening to her.
Yeah.
So, yeah, with the conscious, with this 2-year experiment for me in human design, really asking her for her input, which is correct for a projector too, but particularly with this 11th gate, got to do different lines. Yeah, so it's lovely.
Yeah, I can definitely, see, I don't have the 11th in my design at all. I don't, so it's not something, I guess, I'm talking from my own personal experience, but I can definitely see, I've met a few open throat people, and you definitely see this pressure that comes with them, this need to just like blurt out and share, and when they do, there's no recognition.
Yeah.
It's almost like if they're at a dinner table and they're trying their best to just get their little piece in there, it's almost like they don't even exist at the table. But when someone turns to them and says, hey, what do you think about this? Wow, then the most amazing stuff can come through from them. So it's really a good thing as a parent to really assist your kids if they do have this kind of configuration, to give them opportunities and invitations to actually share what can come through.
And I think that's a general comment to be made about parenting with all designs, is really most of us humans are designed to respond and be asked, so asking our children so that we can get a response from them rather than telling them what to do, which is, a really traditional old-fashioned way of parenting, causes all sorts of issues, no matter what your type. So it's really helpful to ask and to encourage. And yeah, I mean, there's obviously lots of different ways, but I think that's fundamental from the human design experiment and parenting for me. I don't like to tell people what to do anyway, so that came kind of naturally, and I was like, whoop, whoop, even more, more reason not to.
Exactly, yeah.
Resistance, well, the frustration if they're generators, or the resentment, particularly if they're projector, that's really strong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned earlier that this is an abstract gate or channel, and anything to do with abstract there's a lot about storing and regurgitating the past, and the whole process is about distilling the experience into clarity to gain this kind of bing, okay, now it's really clear which way we need to move.
So the 56, the gate other side. Do we want to look at the channel, or are we going to talk about the gate in isolation first?
Well, I think we'll just say a few words about the gate first and then move on to the channel, yeah?
So
it's got its own voice, obviously, the 56, because it's in the throat center, and everything about the throat is about the voice, about the expression of, and the voice that comes from the 56 is, I believe, I don't believe. And what you'll find a lot in human design is this contrast. It either is or it isn't. Yeah, kind of on or off, or the two opposites.
And it's interesting because the keynote for the gate 56 is the storyteller. So but if the 56 is without the 11, it's searching for sources of inspiration or for ideas to express. So I like that. It's looking for the stimulation. And
when the 11's there, what happens is, all these ideas start like filtering down, and they all gather together by the 56, and then the 56 is able to sort through all of these ideas and then have this unique expression, which is a lesson that comes from their interpretation. So it's not really about facts when we look at the abstract or anything about the past, because this is about someone filtering through the ideas and then seeing it through their lens and going, well, this is what I see, or this is how I see it. And so they become this great storyteller. They're able to distill all this information and bring out this clear piece that says, this is what I see.
I was just trying to think about the 56 without the 11.
So basically it's going to be always looking for new, like, hey, I need ideas. It can't tell a story because it doesn't have the ideas coming through. I
mean, the 11 without the 56.
So the 11 without the 56 is wanting to express the ideas but having no way to communicate it.
Yes.
Yeah?
And what was interesting is, because I wrote down a few things, is being under pressure to express.
Yes.
Being under pressure to tell a story.
Yeah.
And then the actual whole channel.
Shall we talk about the line 4 before we move to the channel?
Sure.
Because that's just the next slide. That's the only reason why.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
I'll just move this up here. So line 4 is the teacher. The ability to express the essential nature of peace. And we always have the exaltation and the detriment. The exaltation, the sage, that in the extreme can teach harmony to the tone deaf. Venus is also exalted. The ability to reach out and attract the alienated. Concepts which are clear and transferable. Ideas which can attract and inform the uneducated. The detriment, the guru, whose most valued wisdom is intentionally limited to a few. Ideas which can only be grasped by the few.
It's interesting how the words the guru and ideas can only be grasped by a few are in the same context.
Yes.
Because, like with our human design journey, there's only what they talk about, the 4% of the 4% of the 4% who are open enough to grasp these ideas.
Yes.
But the mentioning of the guru is kind of it's a detriment, the sort of negative side.
Yeah.
To the pedestal of the guru. Who
it also have to do with the fact that it's a projected channel. So right, you might be the guru, you might have all the ideas and the wisdom, but if you don't have people who are inviting you to share and they're not really open to hearing you, it just means that there's not many people that are going to get it.
Yeah.
Because you're the guru and you're just trying to blast out this information, but it's not being received because it's not landing correctly. There's, that invitation link is missing.
Beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful. Do you have anyone? I don't have anyone in my life that's got this particular line off the top. I mean,
I'm a 4th line profile, so I can speak about the 4th line from that perspective, in that it's really about connections and friendships and forming deep bonds with people. And when you have a 4th line, there's this level of influence over others, a sense of people want to hear what you have to say, and what you share creates a level of influence over those people.
I've just realized that in my family of 5, none of us have a 4th line.
Oh wow, it's interesting.
We have 1, 2, 3.
Both me and my partner have 4 4th lines in our profiles. Yeah.
Yours in your body and his is personality consciousness, right?
Yes. I don't know. I have to check.
Yes. Yes, it is. He's a 4-6 and you're a 2-4. Yeah. Cool.
So this is the channel, the 1156, which basically would join the ajna to the throat, and then you would have 2 colored in centers as opposed to white ones because the whole channel is formed now. And it's called the channel of curiosity, the design of a seeker. It forms part of the collective sharing and sensing circuit, and it's a projected channel, which we did mention earlier on.
Mm-hmm. So my son has this channel.
Okay.
What is interesting, I think, with the channel is, and I know a few people, an online coach that I used to have, she has this channel, and they talk about it where they're continuously seeking. Yes. But the real correct experience of this channel is the seeking in itself, the search in itself.
Yes.
Is the experience, not what they find out. The experience is the end goal in themselves. So that I find really interesting. I think with my son's chart, because he's got so many channels defined, I mean, I can see this in play, but at the moment, I think his format channels and his emotional wave, I'm not feeling the sensitivity of this particular channel yet, with all the other stuff that's going on with his little body. But for him, it's interesting because it's in his body. It's the earth. It's the driving force.
Oh, wow.
So to experience the searching and this insatiable, desire and his is a fifth line, which is about attracting attention. And yeah, it's interesting because it's a throat, and he does express himself. And he is, at the moment, he's really into looking up ideas for how to have this YouTube channel, and that's going to change the world. And he's created a PowerPoint presentation.
Oh, that's the heretic.
But the funny thing is his little friend he wants to have this YouTube channel with thought it was when they grow up. But Andre's like mapped it all out. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
So his mother messaged me and said, I think they think that that's going to happen when they grow up. He thinks it's, so yeah, that's quite interesting. I guess that could be how it's potentially one of the ways it's expressing itself.
Yeah. I guess the biggest joke about this channel is that they often think that they finders instead of seekers.
They know their answers.
And it's also quite challenging in our society, right? Because it's very like goal focused, or, you need to reach an end point. So, if you're on the seeking journey, there's this kind of expectation from a societal perspective that you're going to find something at the end of it. You'll reach an end goal.
Yeah.
So I could see that it could be a really frustrating channel to have if people are trying to map it around what society says we should be, rather than just having the experience and
just celebrating, like in my son's case, celebrating the research.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because ultimately the ideas are not designed to take you somewhere. They're just meant to be ideas that you explore and investigate and just have the journey around them,
And there's also a strong element of the emotions and the feeling that comes through, especially with telling stories. If you've got the whole channel, I love that aspect of it, particularly because I have so much logical circuitry. I like the warmth in the storytelling and the feeling with it.
Yes,
with the sensing abstract circus. Circuit?
Can feel like a circus sometimes.
Oh.
So is there anything else that you
let me have I did make notes, which let's see. Just love that it it feels like a warm channel, like a harmonic condition. It feels like stories and the potential.
Yeah.
Obviously there's always the
there's not much room though in our society for storytellers anymore. If you think about the old like traditional tribal kind of culture, there would always be the person who would come around and share the stories. I guess social media and media of all kinds is taken over the role in many ways of storytelling, but it's often a very twisted and distorted storytelling view.
Yes.
The kind of warmth that you're talking about. I mean, anyone that has this channel, essentially they're not really sharing facts, and potentially they're not even sharing truth either. They're just sharing their ideas or their perspective of their ideas.
What becomes a belief system. So it comes from ideas to a belief system. Well, ideas to a concept to a belief to an entire belief system, I believe. Yeah.
And so we have to be very careful, I guess, in some sense about, what are they... Is there some kind of motivation or goal that's driving them to tell the stories? Or are they just sharing, say, hey, this is what I see?
And have
they do anything with this,
Yeah. And has someone actually, have they been invited?
Yes.
Beautiful. Love it. So nice. I loved exploring this gate.
Yeah. Let me stop the share so that people can see. Yeah, beautiful faces.
Hello.
Yeah. So we just wanted to say thank you for everyone who tuned in to have a listen to this, and
for the people who've watched the previous one as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just really here for us to share with you and for us to explore ourselves and deepen our own understanding of it all. So thank you, Sian, for your energy and for coming to play. So it's fun to hang out.
Thanks for playing.
And
thanks to everyone else. And if you've got any questions underneath the video, drop a comment.
Yeah.
If any of these gates, if you experienced anything with this, or you have this in your chart, and have we talked? I think I put underneath my YouTube how you can get your own chart if you're relatively new at Jovian Archive.
Yeah.
You need your exact time of birth.
Yeah, you can get the chart for free, but that's a very small piece of the journey. And
play along, like you could bring your chart, and next week you could say, print it off, and you could see, where does that fit with me? Do I have it or not?
Yeah.
Because I guess we haven't really touched on as much the not self of the openness, I guess.
We spoke about it a little bit today with the throat center, but I'm sure it will unravel itself as we go along. And at the moment, it feels to me like where our interest and your juicy forest and this energy of like playing in what feels correct for us. Neither of us have a defined ego, which means we shouldn't really make any commitments.
Yes.
We set plans, and our intention, I guess, or the idea that we're playing with at the moment is to do transits so that we can just play with that energy on this specific day and see how it shows up in our lives and in the people around us. And we've kind of loosely set a structure around doing it once a week. That may happen, it may not happen, and that's totally cool with us. And it's always about going with the flow and seeing, do our energies feel correct? Is it working in flow with us? And if it isn't, then we'll abandon it for a week and try again the next week.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good idea to practice that on a whole nother level too. Holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, everybody.
Higher commitments. Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for playing.
Yay.
Till next time.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
Okay, bye.